Hello, everyone. It's the Worm. I'm back for some more Raging Loop. Last time was, well, it certainly put me in a mood, I guess you could say. It was, uh, it was by no means happy or exciting or anything like that. It was really just rather sad. Not that there haven't been sad moments before this, of course, but Haruaki, in his pursuit of his goal, had to, or well, decided to manipulate his wolf companions, and he did this mostly because the other two ways he tried, either trying to directly stop them from killing or directly going for killing, both led to his own death. So he went for manipulation as a third choice and used Kaori's, well, her, I don't even know what to call it, but used her complicated and her complicated feelings regarding her sons and her late husband, and twisting that in order to get her to assent to murdering them and everyone else. So, well, he did it. He certainly did. And Haru was just on board with the plan the whole time, so there was no real need to convince her. But, yeah, so he basically spun a story where he's some sort of supernatural expert. I don't think he gave himself a specific title or anything, but someone was sent by the head families to Yasumizu in order to get a handle on the supernatural stuff going down here. And then he leveraged his loop knowledge in order to make it seem authentic. And that did the trick. So that was that. Of course, because he did that, Kaori did agree to do it, but she gave her terms. She's going to go along with this, but she wants her sons to be the ones who die first. And so, that's the plan right now. That's what we're going to try and do. And we're going to start with Yasunaga. Now, I would certainly agree that Yasunaga is a high priority target for us. My big worry, though, is that he is a prime target to be protected by the spider. So there's a worry that our very first attempt may just fall through. And then there's another hang up here. If we go ahead and kill both of her kids first, that will pretty much inevitably lead to everyone suspecting Kaori. Now, Kaori has said she accepts this, and Haruaki seems to have to accept this as well. But she also put on a caveat there that she's willing, after her sons are dead, she's willing to spend her death however Haruaki wants. So we know in the previous routes she has attempted mass poisoning, she attempted to go crazy with a knife. Obviously those were just kind of wild attempts she did on the fly. Obviously, and so this time Haruaki would be the one directing her last attempt at, a mass killing, presumably. I'm thinking that's what he was talking about in that conversation. So Kaori has basically become quite the asset for Haruaki to use here, as much as it's horrible to say it like that. Yeah. So I think that pretty much brings us up to speed. Oh, there is one thing I think I want to address. I've been under the impression that perhaps if they don't try to kill anyone at night, that would be a corruption violation on the wolves' part. Because it's, one of the things I've been curious about is how Mamiya died. Because the wolves can't kill more than one person, and presumably the wolves can't kill other wolves. Or if they did, it would still be a second person. So I've been assuming that Mamiya's death was a corruption death, and so this whole time I've been thinking. One thing I've been thinking, starting this route, is okay. If we're a wolf, maybe we'll be able to learn what the rules that bind the wolves are. And so I was thinking that this might have been one of them. If they don't try to kill anyone, that's a corruption violation. Now, that would be quite something. I don't know if it would be one wolf that gets a corruption death because of that, or all three. But Amber raised the idea that maybe that's not the case. Maybe the wording of the wolves was vague enough to imply that it wouldn't be a corruption death, but it would just be death through some other means, like death from the villagers or something like that. In any case, I'm willing to be a bit more open-minded on that, so maybe it's possible we can spend a night not killing. I'm not sure. So I guess I'm just going to go to a wait and see kind of attitude on that. Anyway, that's pretty much that. I think we're pretty good here. So let's see what happens. We're gonna try and kill Yasunaga, and I mean, if we're successful, that would be a pretty good start, actually. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay. The three of us went through the mist. The wolves parted the gray, cloudy air. It felt like I was in a plane that had flown into a cloud at night. We were careful, spreading water to keep the beasts at bay, trying not to trip or fall into the fields. Haru-chan and Kaori-san were probably just being considerate of me, though. Without me, they might have gone ahead quickly and without hesitation. Not just because they were familiar with the land, but also because they seemed just about dangerous enough. They seemed like, if they decided on it, they could march straight to their grave. We were heading to the dorm. The disgusting deal with Kaori-san left us with few options to choose from. Though getting rid of Yasunaga-kun wasn't a bad choice. He was extremely supportive of Hashimoto-san, so without him, the cameraman would lose some of his influence. And by shutting Hashimoto-san up, we would damage Mamiya-san too. I already knew Takumi-san and Kanzo-san's weaknesses. I had to worry about Chiemi's hidden true nature. As for Rikako-san, honestly, I felt that if I did the same things as last time, she would side with me again. The rest weren't very influential, though. I just had to be careful that they didn't go hysterical or go on a rampage. My biggest concern right now was Mochi. You know what? Fair. It seemed entirely likely that he would know who the wolves were on gut instinct alone. Wouldn't he do something weird if he found out Haru-chan was a wolf? Though, right now, I was merely considering the kind of people they were, not the guardians they might have had. I could only hope that they'd want to... Excuse me. I could only hope that they'd went to Mako or the old wolf guy. That'd have made them harder to control. Something about Takumi-san was bugging me too. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. I think Unknown Pitfall was the one who mentioned this, actually. 2 episodes ago now? The episode before previous? He did say this. So, I mean, could definitely be a signal.
あ、待って。一応注意。カゴを持っている人は注意した方がいい。
I can't die yet. He was attached to Yasumizu because of Tai-san and Kaori-san, and he had his sense of responsibility as the local young leader. When you considered that, him saying that he couldn't die right now didn't really make sense. That meant that he had a guardian. Yasunaga-kun realized it too, so he jumped into the conversation, just like he had done for me last time. On the first loop, Takumi-san had revealed that he was the snake on the very first day. What if that was about to happen again? Mochi was a monkey back then, and he was one now too. Though everything else was different. Back then, the other monkey had been Mako. However, if there were some sort of rules for deciding who would get guardians, it wasn't unlikely that they would get the same ones. If he were the snake, I'd kill him and pass myself off as his guardian. Now this is big too. This is something we were discussing at the end of last route, whether there are in fact a set of criteria for this sort of thing. Would it really be that direct though? So this is suggesting if the same person gets... I have to think about this. So that's saying something like, say we somehow split off and did another route entirely, and then we got assigned a guardian. Haruaki got assigned a guardian. He would just be the snake? That's an interesting idea. Huh. Let's keep that in mind, huh? But yeah, this was the... It's pretty funny that it's actually specified it like this. This was my ultimate good scenario that I described, like also 2 episodes ago, I think. It was go for Takumi, because I think Kanzo or Yasunaga would be protected by a snake, or excuse me, by a spider. Kill him, hope he has a guardian, and then hope it's the snake and take the snake's place. So that'd actually be really interesting if that is actually the case. Huh. We would gain a huge advantage. It was worth considering at least.
着きましたよ、房石さん。
But unfortunately, Kaori's not going to allow that, right? As I thought to myself, we arrived in front of the dorm. I could see the misty moonlight accentuating the building's outline. For whatever reason, I already smelled blood. It reminded me of Haru-chan and Kaori-san's brutalized bodies. That sure was terrible. Those murders ridiculed and laughed at humanity to the fullest extent. I wanted to have my boundaries when it came to that, at least. That sentiment came to mind.
だ
And faded as soon as Kaori-san said that. She was pointing at the stairs to the dorm. There was blood all over the rusty metal stairs. Why? Why was this here? Whose blood was this? Did someone forget to shelter? Where was their corpse then? Visibility was as poor as ever, but I looked around for something humanoid on the ground. A few seconds later, I finally noticed that someone was standing just a few meters ahead. I gasped, and the other wolves only noticed it a few seconds later. I quickly realized that the person there was Chiemi Serizawa. She had something in hand. It was a sawed-off, double-barreled shotgun. My goodness, this is not going how I thought it would. When you considered her madness, it made sense. She could totally underestimate the corruption and put herself on the line to kill all the wolves by herself. There was also worth mentioning that she had a gun, a rarity here in Japan. She stood a way better chance than Yoshitsugu Oribe, whose courage only got him torn to pieces. We were only human, and that gun could instantly kill us. Excuse me, where are the bringers of corruption? Referee? Excuse me. I think we got some rules being broken over here by the other team. Where's the red card? Where's the... We need... Hang on. I hadn't predicted this. I was off guard. Right as Haru-chan and Kaori-san squealed, she raised her arm. Honestly, I was impressed. She managed to stay unpredictable every single loop. I wouldn't have stood a chance against her if I didn't have my looping. She was a joker to me. A bloody, merciless joker. All right, I'd clearly lost this time. I had to do better next time. At that moment, her lips moved. A flash. What I saw wasn't the Reaper, but a smile, lost to a crimson explosion. At that moment, I wasn't able to do anything but stand in place, completely frozen. The two behind me shrieked and clutched at my shoulders, but I ignored them. Chiemi had just committed suicide. With a mischievous smile, she'd put the shot-off shotgun in her mouth and blown her head off from the jaw up. It was insanity. This time, she'd gone way beyond whatever I could imagine. What was this? What was this feeling of loss? Was I feeling it because I wouldn't see her again ever in this loop? Was it the despair at the fact that a part of my brain was actually thinking, crap, we wasted one night's worth of murders? Or
Haruaki-san.
was it the fact that
みたいにはならないで。
I would never be able to ask her what she'd said?
どういうことなの？ねえ、夫妻さん、チエネが。
もう今日は殺せない。一夜に一人の起きてもう殺せない。きっと彼女は加護者じゃない。自ら犠牲を買って出ることで今日人の側の有用な人物が殺されることを防いだ。おそらく彼女はただの人。おそらく自分にできる最大の貢献がこれだと判断して。
じゃあ今日は
安永君は殺せません。
そんな。仕方ないよ、香織さん。二人以上の血を流せばあなたの望みも叶えられなくなる。
してやられましたね。乾杯です。
Or did she really? I felt like I still couldn't match her cunning, no matter how hard I tried. I stayed still for a decent bit, just looking at her immobile remains within the mist.
それでは、手はず通りに。
Okay, question. We still have we found out why there's blood on the stairs? Where was it? Oh, dang it. It doesn't go back that far. She wasn't on top of the stairway or something. She was... Why is there blood on the stairs? She didn't look bloodied. And then, of course, we have the Haruaki-san, don't become... You know, I think that there have been a few people now who have suggested... It's been a little while, but I think a few people have suggested maybe a potential other Looper theory, as in Haruaki might not be the only one. And I gotta say, I think this whole situation may have certainly gives that idea more credence than it had before. Because we have not interacted with Chiemi that much, and yet she does this. I gotta agree with Haruaki here. I don't know how to predict her. I don't think you can. From being our companion and ally to a crazy monster to a sacrificial lamb, I don't understand. I guess a Chiemi Looper theory would in some way explain her somewhat erratic behavior, but I don't know. Okay.
はい。みちみち気をつけて。おやすみなさい。
Not gonna examine the stairs? No, we're not gonna examine the stairs. Okay, that seems like a very strange detail to just drop on us and then completely ignore. I mean, fair enough that we did just witness an insane scene, so maybe they just forgot it because of that. But still feels like that's a bit of a misstep. Maybe we'll learn in the morning. We couldn't just stand here, so for now we returned to the dining hall and talked. My body was completely wet, but since I'd worn the costume for so long, I'd actually began sweating, so taking off the mask was way too refreshing. Then, when it was time to return, Haru-chan and I once again put on the mask and left the dining hall fully equipped. There was almost no water in the bucket at this point. But honestly, since our costumes were so wet, it wasn't likely that the bringers of corruption would attack us. How come they didn't attack
ここまで
Chiemi?
でいい。そこの坂から登ったら工事現場だから。
Haru-chan said that right in front of the dorm. Her tone was as uncaring as always, but her words seemed to express some consideration.
大丈夫かい？あそこには。
知恵姉の死体。
ああ。君は苦手じゃないのか？
苦手だけど。というか、得意だったらやばいし。でも、夜だし。
So what? I didn't get her reasoning. Though I could kind of relate to her.
じゃあ、手はず通りにね。
わかった。
ちょっとは頼りになりそうかい？
まあ、うん、そうかも。
What plan? I'm guessing maybe they had a talk in the dining hall about how to approach the feast tomorrow. Okay. Was that enough to ensure that all went fine from tomorrow onwards? I was worried, but I had no choice but to keep going.
じゃあ
I turned around.
あ、
A voice from behind stopped me. I turned back at her. She was standing there, still clad in her smallish wolf outfit. Like before, I couldn't see her face, but I felt that something was off. At the core of it was the fact that she was laughing. Well, hello there. It's been a little while since we spoke to you. Was this the...
なんともなんともなんとも傑作。先ほどの茶番、吹き出さぬよう必死でしたぞ。そして、心内明神が弱まっておるとは、なんと痛快、なんと面白い。神をも恐れぬとは、このことよな。
お前は
なんじゃ、得意の力とやらでカンパなさればよろしかろう。方便であっても貫き通せば誠になるやもしれませぬぞ。
お前ハルちゃんなのか、それともなんだ狼付きなのか。
おやおやおやおやおや、貴様もつまらぬことを言いなさる。心内明神のやつはあの通り赤い霧の中に見られたであろう。
あんなものはまやかしだ。
まやかしであろうが目に見える。貴様は何を見てこられたのか。この三峡に息吹く世紀をこれほど受けて、町のお方はなお理解が及ばれぬか。神というものに。
God?
何度落ちて何度地獄を見れば真実にたどり着けることかの。
教えてくれ。
Throwing away my shame and honor, I grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her.
あんたは何者なんだ。僕は一体どうなってる。この現象の本質は一体何なんだ。
殿方にすがられるのは悪い気もせぬが、この娘に嫌われますぞ。
ハルちゃんとは違うのか。
問われるばかりも退屈なれば、一つだけお答え申そうか。神は御柱おる。
There are 3 gods.
知ってる。狼様は親子3人だって話だろう。
I don't think that's what she means.
分かっておられるな。心内明神など親子まとめて杵でついてこね回して作ったいびつな神よ。この三峡にはあと2柱。まあ一柱は取るに足らぬ死に体の神であるが、残る一柱が貴様の敵じゃ。
With that, she shoved my hands away.
暗く長き山のよとぎに良きお方が来られたものよの。明晩 またまみえようぞ町のお方。
The girl dashed away and disappeared into the dark mist. I didn't hear a single sound after that. Wow. I can't believe only half hour is passed. What do I even do? What do I do at this point? Basically only 2 scenes have happened and both of them are so insane. I don't even understand how to progress from here. Man. Three gods. Shinai-sama is a mix of 3. One is dead. One is our enemy. So I'm just trying to think right now. So is this entity seemingly inhabiting Haru, but does not require Haru because we've heard this entity even after Haru died? Is that one of the gods? It's certainly Haru has called it a god. Chiemi seems to have some connection with the god. If I had to, because presumably I'm thinking, and this is some lessons I got from previous visual novel experience. They wouldn't just have these entities introduced so late out of nowhere, especially the one she's calling your enemy. It can't be like an entirely new character coming out of nowhere, right? It has to be, or at least you would think it would be something or someone we've already seen. It's interesting, the god described only 2 of the gods. One that's as good as dead, she said. Not dead, but as good as dead. And then the other is our enemy. But what about the third? I don't think she mentioned a third. I guess it is Great Lord Shinai. So is that the Great Lord Shinai of the legend we've been hearing this whole time? But did she? So is she indirectly admitting that Great Lord Shinai is not the Okami-sama? That would be interesting. I have a suspicion that Meiko may be wrapped up in this somehow. Mysterious girl who showed up. I had been thinking, because Meiko is meant to be associated with sheep, and we know that she drew sheep on the ground along with the other guardians. And the one time she supposedly drew herself on the ground, and it was a creature rather than, her as a human. And when we die in the loop, we have visions of a sheep. I've been thinking it was an early theory that Meiko may be responsible for our looping in some way. But the fact that she never seemed too actively interested in us, kind of dissuaded me from kind of going forward with it. I want to say Mako is a part of this somehow, but I would hesitate to specify which she might be. Maybe I don't think Mako's our enemy. Maybe it's this one. Maybe the last one's your enemy is maybe that is the god in Haru. Does the although that's kind of what referring to yourself in the I don't know. And just the whole stuff with Chiemi, man. Yeah, I'll say again. I think the Chiemi Looper theory just got a pretty big boost there. Let's leave it at that. I've got much more to think about now to try and see if I can make sense of all this. And next time we will start tomorrow and see if we can somehow recover from this. Man, just when I'm impressed by this game's ability to just hit me with just something I'm completely unprepared for over and over again. I'm impressed so much with that. Okay, let's call it. I've been the Warm. This has been Raging Loop. I hope to see you next time.